we got to talk about the mighty Atlanta Falcons. We have to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. First things first, where did they come from? Now, I understand that the Atlanta Falcons had a lot of pieces. They had Kyle Pitts, they had Drake London, drafted B.J. Robinson last season, right? And they have a lot of pieces out there. And I was one of them, and I've kind of been overlooking the Falcons to be honest. I didn't think Kirk Cousins was a guy for the job. I thought they paid for him. I thought that the Falcons were just doing all this movement for another third place seeding in their division. But after an epic fourth quarter comeback and an overtime victory, do we have to start saying, are we overlooking the Atlanta Falcons? Have we been overlooking the Atlanta Falcons the first 4 or 5 weeks of this season? As you guys know, right now, the Falcons are now 3-2 on the seasons. They have wins over the Philadelphia Eagles week 2, 22-21, which started the Eagles' downfall is self-imploding, let's just be honest. They beat the Saints 2 weeks ago on a game-winning field goal, 26-24. That's a division game. Keep that in mind. Big division win. And then, of course, they beat the Bucs last night, and a game-winning touchdown in overtime also is a division game. I bring up the division game because the Falcons are now up 2 games in that division with wins over the Saints and the Bucs. Going to matter a lot when it comes to week 16, 17, 8, and 18 and beyond. Kirk Cousins finally showed up in primetime. Kirk Cousins played out of his freaking mind last night. Yesterday, we talked about primetime Kirk Cousins. I was dogging him. Primetime Kirk Cousins says he's 7-22. He's this, and this. Primetime Kirk, who? Primetime Kirk Cousins showed up and balled last night. And Kirk Cousins is getting better each and every week as well. He's getting more comfortable in the offense. He's getting more comfortable with the receivers. He's getting more comfortable with his repaired Achilles. Week 1 versus the Steelers, 155 yards in the air. Week number 2, 241 yards in the air versus the Eagles, 230 versus the Chiefs, 238 versus Saints, and 509 last night versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not only are they passing the ball, they are running the ball really, really well as well. The rushing game is clicking. B. John Robertson averaging 4.3 yards per carry. Aguilar averaging 5.4 yards per carry. The offense is looking like it cannot be stopped as well. The weakness, air quotes there, for the Falcons right now is the defense. They have a couple holes that like they can fill, but the season's still young. They also added some players late during preseason, and sometimes it takes those players to get time to get adjusted and acquainted and know their role in the new system. I'm referring to Matthew Judon and Simmons. They both got added the last week of the preseason. So when we bring all that up, when we bring the stats out, when we look at it, guys, have we been overlooking the Atlanta Falcons? And I personally have to say, yes, I was overlooking the Atlanta Falcons. I am eating crow on the Atlanta Falcons right now. However, I am not ready to crown them NFC South champions. I'm not ready to crown them wild card playoff win. I'm not even ready to crown them above 500 team. Because even though they do have wins over the Saints, Bucs, and Eagles, really, really good wins actually in hindsight. They battled the Chiefs, lost by 5 points. But much like the Vikings, much like the Ravens, much like other teams out there, I'm not ready to buy into them yet. I am not ready to really put my money down and say the Falcons take my money and win the Super Bowl because Kirk Cousins has been playing out of his mind. I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is a bad quarterback. Do not get that twisted. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. There's a reason why he signs all these guaranteed dollar bills contracts because he's a good quarterback. He comes in there and he wins. He is a winning quarterback. However, he is still an average quarterback. And I think this team needs above average quarterback, if not great quarterback play, for them to be successful like they were versus the Saints, like they were versus the Bucs, like they were against the Eagles and even the Chiefs, right? They need Kirk Cousins to play at this elite level, and I don't know if he can do that for all 17 games. Granted, there's 12 games left in the NFL season. I don't know if he can maintain that for 12, 13, 14, 15 more weeks. I'm just curious. Do you guys think we have been overlooking the Falcons? Do you guys think Kirk Cousins can maintain his level of excellence we saw the last couple weeks for the next 12, 13, 14, 15 games? Do we see Kirk Cousins being the man, the myth, the legend? Do we see him being an MVP? That's the questions we have to answer. And John says Kurt finally showed up. Listen, it was Matt Ryan night in Atlanta. They put Matt Ryan in the Ring of Honor, right? Arguably one of the best quarterbacks that Atlanta had in a very, very long time. Obviously out there and balled out. And then Kirk Cousins wants to show him up and break his single season Atlanta record. Yeah, Kirk Cousins played out of his mind. Played out of his mind. Crimson Anonymous says, do you think the Buffalo Bills will beat the Houston Texans this Sunday? We'll be talking about the Buffalo Bills on Way or No Way here in about 15 minutes, my man. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. Laura says, Cousins' primetime choke never happened. My question is, do you think his last year with the Vikings were purposely done to stink that bad? I don't think Kirk Cousins ever goes out there to really stink up the joint. Because if you look at it, yeah, the Vikings may have been stumbling early in the season, but you have to realize new offensive coordinator, Kirk Cousins is getting acquainted with his receivers, right? Jordan Addison, I believe that was his rookie year. And if I remember correctly, he went down week 9 last season? They started off the season 0-3, if I'm not mistaken. They won one of their first 5. But then I thought they rattled off like 4 or 5 wins in a row. So maybe, just maybe, Kirk Cousins hit a buzzsaw with the Vikings. I finally got their schedule to pull up. Yeah, so they lost their first 3. They lost to the Bucks, a good Bucks team. Eagles and Chargers last year. They beat the Carolina Panthers and lost to the Chiefs. But then they rattled off versus the Bears, 49ers, Falcons, Packers, and Saints. And then Kirk Cousins goes down. So I don't think he was sinking the ship by any stretch of the imagination. He just was off the first 3 weeks. I don't know. But even then, he threw for damn near 400 yards each one of those games. So I don't know. I don't know. But it is what it is. John says could very well be because most of there are for a paycheck. First of all, first things first, John. Everybody in the NFL is there for a paycheck. Whether you want to admit it or not, it is their job. They are going out there. They have sacrificed the last 15, 16, 17 years of their life, dedicated it to football to get to this point. They've had 16 years of job interviews to basically be here. So to say that they're just out here for a paycheck, that's kind of a dumb answer. Why even bring that up? Of course I'm out here to get paid. I'm out here to get paid, to get laid, because bitches love money. Laura says, I was angry watching him last night, going, how can you play that well, blah, blah, blah. Let the Vikings suck that bad. So, Laura, I believe you brought up the comment earlier that there was no primetime choke from Kurt, right? That first half, I was blown away. I'm like, whoa. Okay, Kirk Cousins, you come out to play. Show me those da-da-da-da bills, yo. You come out to ball. But in the back of my head, I'm sitting here back and like, you know what? He is going to falter. He's going to throw that big interception, which he did. He's going to fumble the ball. I'm waiting for Kirk Cousins to fail. And last night, it actually did not happen until late in the fourth quarter when he did throw that interception to David, the linebacker, like 15 years in the league. And I thought the game was over, but Todd Bowles gave that game away. We can talk about that like if you want, But Kirk Cousins really only made one big mistake all night, and that was a 4th and 15 call, which he had to make that play, right? If you don't make that pass, you are getting sacked, and you're definitely losing the game, right? So Kirk Cousins did play a great game last night. John says I haven't, but they lost games they should have won. So John is saying that the Falcons are playing well. He has not been sleeping on them, but they've lost games that they should have won. So John is saying they should have beat the Steelers week 1, lost 18-10. No, I just think the Steelers come out and play a really, really good game. He's saying they should have beat the Chiefs. You and 15 other people say that, right? But the fact of the matter is that they didn't. But they're 3-2. They're in first place and no MVP. Kirk Cousins is no MVP. Laura says, I have no comment on Cousins. I'm still a bit salty. As a Vikings fan, I would be, right? I would be. We got Matt Henry in the chat. What is up, Matt? Hope you're having a good old day, Matt. I'm glad you are here. Haven't seen you for a while. I'm glad you are here. And James Frank said it's weird seeing Kirk win on primetime TV. You know, James, I said the same thing, right? I was waiting for Kirk to fail. I was I was waiting for the wheels to come off, whatever analogy that you want to use. But at the end of the day, when they brought up that stat, I believe who was the color commentators? Kurt Herbstreit, right? Kirk Cousins has 30 game-winning drives. 30. Well, now 31. 3 this season. I mean, as primetime Kurt doesn't show up a lot of the times, at the end of the day, 31 fourth quarter go-ahead scores to win the game. Kirk Cousins is clutch. Kirk Cousins is a dog. I mean, let's just be honest. The Brain Rot Center. What's up? Says, me and my friends are now calling him Kirko Primetime now. Let's not get carried away. My Brain Rot Center. Let's not get carried away. He is still 8-22 in primetime games. He did play out of his mind. I get it. But it's Thursday night game. You are going to see a basic-ass defense from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's just be honest. Of course, the Falcons played a basic-ass defense too, right? The Buccaneers also had both of their starting safeties out, along with a linebacker. So, I'm not trying to take away from the win, but let's not be calling him primetime Kirko now. Let's just slow it down, baby. Slow it down. Let's win another primetime. I believe the next one is December 16th versus the Raiders on Monday Night Football. Let's just slow it down. Brain Rot Center also says the Falcons fixed the primetime narrative. I don't think they have yet. Win me one more, do back-to-back good primetime games, then maybe we'll talk. Then maybe we'll start talking about primetime Kurt's curse is over, right? Maybe. Kurt Cocaine was on his was on one last night. Good for him. Matt, I'm pretty sure you meant to put Cousins, but I remember you and I were in the Ken to Ken morning show just talking back and forth when they were talking about cocaine. I'm sure your phone is autocorrected, right? Mark D's in the chat. What is up, Mark? What's up? Join us tomorrow, guys, with me, Mark, and Hoffy. 9 p.m. East Coast time. We're going to do Week 5 preview here. And Laura says, I wanted the Oklahoma boys to come out on top last night for sure. Of course, I did too. I wanted to see Baker Mayfield ball out, which he did. Which people in the comments are saying oh, Baker Mayfield's a bum. You were dogging Lamar for losing. Why aren't you dogging Baker Mayfield for losing? Because Baker Mayfield did not lose that game. Baker Mayfield played a hell of a game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a whole played a hell of a game. They were outcoached. Todd Bowles is a bad coach. Raheem is a great head coach. Falcons outcoached the Buccaneers last night. It is what it is. Jim Powell's in the chat. Pigskin Pundit here, CFO of the Pigskin Pundits. Be like Jim and click on the link below. Become a Pigskin Pundit. But he says maybe when Tampa is relevant again, or the Falcons for that matter. So John says, slow it down. Or sorry, Jim says, slow it down, baby. We're not overlooking the Falcons. The point is that they're irrelevant. Tampa is irrelevant. So therefore, you're beating a irrelevant team. What does it matter? Jim, the Buccaneers are relevant. They have won the NFC South 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row. They have won the NFC South. They have gone to the playoffs, 4 years in a row? The Buccaneers are a good team. Just don't be sleeping on the Buccaneers. They're still going to win the NFC South. But the Falcons are going to make a run for the money. As long as Kirk Cousins keeps playing at an MVP level, elite level Kirk Cousins, we are going to see a lot of the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to see a lot of them.